Hi again, my name is Kurt DeMarais, and this is part two in a three-part series entitled What in the World is Going On? As I mentioned in part one, I recently self-published a book entitled Higher Ground, Zero Hour, the first in a trilogy under the pen name T.M. Carpenter. This is part of my video series and blog for my book, which can be found on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. I hope you'll consider reading it. However, my reason for creating my blog and video series is much greater than simply the hope that you'll read my book. It's about why I wrote Higher Ground, Zero Hour, which is a fictional story about a global pandemic. I originally got the idea during the Ebola outbreak in West Africa and subsequent close calls here in the US when infected doctors were brought back for treatment and a medical professional who was exposed to the virus jumped on a commercial flight unaware that the potential for letting the genie out of the bottle had just been unleashed. We got lucky this time. Most people are completely unaware of the dangers that not only Ebola, but many other killer pathogens represent to not just US citizens, but to the world population in general, as the Zika virus has recently reminded us. I was one of those people. My book is not meant to elicit fear or dread. Rather, I'm hopeful it can, to some extent, reduce ignorance and indifference. In the course of writing my book, I stumbled across volumes of research and data that turned my fictional story into much more of a cautionary tale than I had ever originally dreamed or intended. As a result of sifting through volumes of real articles, reports, and listening to what experts were and are saying, I realized that the vast majority of people will be caught completely by surprise if and when an event like I describe in Higher Ground, Zero Hour ever takes place. Whether it's a pandemic brought about by any number of dangerous pathogens or viruses, or a myriad of other potentially even more catastrophic events, I believe all Americans have the right to be prepared, at least as much as possible. An educated populace will not only save lives, it could help us prevent it from happening altogether, as citizens can make informed decisions that would benefit both themselves and the society as a whole. I'm an average American citizen. I am not a prepper in the traditional sense, but I came to realize during the writing of Higher Ground, Zero Hour, that I was woefully uneducated as to the actual dangers we are facing in this day and age. I love this country. Like everyone else, I have family and friends who make up my small circle of how I experience life. But in the end, you are in my circle. We are in each other's circle. The world is our circle. What we do with and to one another, we do to all of us. Human civilization has always gone through cycles. History repeats itself. This is undeniable. We ignore the lessons of history at our own peril. What is good, what is evil, what is right, what is wrong, is not a question for a future or past generation. It always remains a question for the current one. History is not something that happens to us. It's something we shape and then leave to the future generation. If absolute truth exists, it is our job to understand those truths and use them to guide our actions. If you don't believe absolute truth exists, are you absolutely sure? Okay then, let's get on with it. Our memories are short, as witnessed by the fact that some already deny the Holocaust. Leon Trotsky has been written out of Russian history, and a textbook in Florida recently referred to slaves before the Civil War as migrant workers. We must not forget the past. It is our only bridge to a more informed and hopefully brighter future. But we must also deal with the present, and we are facing some of the biggest challenges mankind has ever confronted. Technology has taken over our lives, and while the standard of living has improved for many, the sheer numbers, more, are worse off than ever in human history. These technological advances have also given us the ability, if put in the wrong hands, to destroy one another and ourselves in extremely large numbers. Therefore, we must all remain vigilant and educate ourselves whenever possible so we can identify risks to our family, friends, country, and the world at large. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for part 3 of What in the World is Going On. Thanks again.